Hey there guys, this is Tyler. Welcome back to another stream. Hello Mr. Funnyman, hello Marion, hello Zawar Pumpkin. The water is up. Yes, yes. So today... Yeah, hello internet. What do you keep advertising there, Marion? Let's see, it's a Angel game. The purple rat, what is purple rat? It's not even out. Oh, it's part of that thing, though. Huh. Maybe by devs who break Fazbear Facility. I have no idea what Fazbear Facility is. No, not gonna lie. Oh hell no! They turned William Afton into a mouse. Does that break Rule 3? Yeah, it does, I guess. But like, I'm just gonna be like, I don't. The thing is, I've gotten so just like. I don't really care anymore, just as long as, like, it's not any of the major rules. I've been meaning to change, like, the stream rules and all that whole shit for, like, some time now. Hazard facilities, I'm giving you this 4K graphics. 4K. Okay. Okay. So, how are y'all doing today? How are y'all doing? Doing well. Nice. Yeah, I'm doing good. I just woke up. See, what happened was I woke up at 55. So I woke up at like 11:55. Stream starts in like 5 minutes. I woke up, used the restroom, started the stream, and I had the stream starts go. So the reason why it would take a while. Hold on. I had to sneeze. And then, during that, I was fucking making my bed and all that. I was doing, like, all that, my fucking morning routine while the stream started soon playing. So, yeah, because I stayed up till 5 a.m. last night, fucking playing Fortnite with my IRL friend. And Dead by Daylight, too. I just got that game. Dead by Daylight's pretty fucking fun. I love it so far. But yeah, Ryan, if you guys know him and from, like, the chat, R Blizzards, he got me into Dead by Daylight. And then I had another friend playing Fortnite with me. So yeah, that's why I was up till like 5 a.m. last night, and why the stream started 5 minutes after. The stream started on time though. It started on time. I was not late, so that's good. So that's good. Hello, Zom dude. Happy birthday, my guy. Welcome to the stream. Stayed up till 5 a.m. playing Fortnite. Yep, basically. Feeling really mad today, almost like I can pat. Oh. And also, Udis Lapudis, beta tested per white game. If you check the cards in the description of the per white game. I did not say. I just looked at the screenshots and, like, glimpsed at the original games page. And looked at, like, glimpsed at the dev logs. Also, Treasure Island 2024 is Radiance Team's last map. Wait, they're making another Treasure Island? I did not know that. And, speaking of Radiance, next week... Hopefully next week should be. I will release my first fan game review of the year, which will be 5 Nights to Remember. So yeah, and I might do part 2, like a part 2 stream 5 Nights to Remember where I play the customized, even though I know who's in it and how they work. Like, yeah, I had to research for the video. I know who, not my friend Bunny, but like 5 Nights to Remember Bunny is. First, after playing Texas Chainsaw, Dead by Daylight has become a side game for me because how dated it feels compared to TCM. The 2024 Treasure Island is a remake of the 2020 Treasure Island. So it's a remake of a remake of It's a remake of a remake. Fun. Yeah. But yeah. Okay, so I guess we can just get started. I just want to see if I'm demonetized. Alright, no, I'm not. Alright, so we can get started. Can I keep that open at least? Okay. Since I'm not leaving Google today, I'll just leave that open. Alright, so we're gonna start with our first one for the day. We usually try to do four videos per stream in this stream series. Alright, there's ads. Okay. Okay. Dooby-dooby-doo-ba-doo. Alright. Okay. Right. So, game theory, FNAF, the monster we missed. So we're on Help Wanted. I did not get to see what time this came out. Hold on. This came out 4 years ago. August 6, 2019. So 2 years before, I mean, not years. 2 days before, okay, 2015, 2016, the 2 days before the 5-year anniversary. So basically almost half a decade ago.
A closer peek at Henry and William Afton, how their partnership flourished early on, and how their view of the animatronics evolved over time. Thoughtful fans might want to give these sections a closer look to determine how they impact the story of
Afton
the games
and Henry
as well.
Hold on. See. Afton and Henry
as well.
Okay, that's actually perfect.
Right there,
clear
balancing. As crystal. For years, I've been trying to piece together the story of these games,
fucking
right?
Nightmare Bonnie Funko figure for the UCN map.
But one thing has always served as a major sticking point, and that thing has been these books. Now, admittedly, these
I forget what this one is. Is it about the books?
Enter the series at a tough time.
This is Help Wanted in the
FNAF 4 had
title.
released a few months prior. The game that, to this day, serves as the single biggest point of frustration for anyone trying to piece together the lore. Scott always trolls us. See also the repeated use of the name Jeremy. But this one game was just too much. It was a game that played with so many different ideas. It played with dreams and dates and bites and balloon boys and new characters and new toys, kids that looked like established characters. I mean, what was real, what wasn't, no one had any idea, and still to this day, we are at a loss
real life
about what this game
that's
means
gonna go
for the
well.
entire franchise as a whole.
That's gonna
and
go
then,
well.
shortly after that, FNAF World would enter the picture, and well, we all know how well that one went. So, needless to say, it was a sensitive time for the series, and sandwiched in between it all was the Silver Eyes, the start of the novels, a story set in the FNAF universe, but not really? Question mark? Scott Cawthon, when the books first came out,
Well, Fazbear Frights is like technically canon, depending on like I think what story it is. So like Man Room 1280 is like canon, but then like in the flesh isn't. Like, yeah, that's what I've heard and seen, and I think, and like, yeah, it's interesting.
What role these played in the greater story.
Real life in FNAF. Oh no.
I don't know if it helped
FNAF
things.
in real time.
Oh. The truth is that after a while, lore can become so dense that there isn't any room for a story anymore. Another truth is that what makes for a good game doesn't necessarily make for a good book. Sometimes a timeline gets so full that the only way to tell a real story is have that story set in a different timeline, an alternate universe, a different location, or perhaps from a vantage point that isn't entirely what it appears to be. It's an interesting quote.
Right.
True to Scott's style, it doesn't give anything away. I mean, everyone immediately latched onto this idea that the books were somehow a separate and alternate universe, but if you come back and read that quote again, like I just did here for the first time in years, writing the script, it's actually only one of the possibilities that he raised.
Oh, I see a black cat. I'm gonna have bad luck, guys.
In fact, now that all three of the books have come out and completed the main story arc,
24 minutes. Oh, 23:59, but 24.
What they really were. It was that last thing, a vantage point that wasn't entirely what it appeared to be. Now, spoiler alert for the books, but basically at the end of this one, the grand finale, Fourth Closet, it's revealed that our main character, Charlie, is an animatronic recreation of a dead girl. That the brilliant roboticist Henry, co-founder of
Alright, see the... Okay, look. Sorry, I keep pausing. I already do this anyway in the stream series. I don't even know why. If people are gonna complain about it, I don't know why they would. If they should get used to it or not. But with modern FNAF lore, with like the Mimic and stuff, I have gotten so used to it and warmed up to it so much that I actually kind of like it, and I'm interested in the lore's direction and everything. But I'm usually forgiving for a lot of FNAF stuff. But like this is one of those things where I've always just never liked. I just never liked it, and I still don't. To be fair, I need to reread the OG novel trilogy. But even then, I'm probably still not gonna like that fucking stupid plot twist ending, or whatever, with Charlie being a robot. It is so stupid. I don't like it.
He's had a daughter named Charlotte who was kidnapped and killed by his partner William Afton at the age of 3.
I remember that.
Out of his grief, he rebuilt her, and that the character that we've been following
I think the more
for
professional
all 3
he
of
got
these
in his
books
content
isn't
creating,
actually a human being, but just a glorified animatronic that grows older with time. Now, it sounds really weird, but here, let me explain. So, the 4 closets, what that's in reference to, basically, Henry created 4 versions of that robot, each one meant to simulate a different life stage that she would never get to experience. Toddler, tween, teen, adult. Thus allowing this robot child to grow up over time, infusing each one of those robots with fabricated memories of a childhood he created using a camera and tripod. And if you think that sounds weird, then you haven't finished reading this book, my friends, because this book jumps so many sharks. But that is nothing compared to what this book does to the animatronic Baby that we all know and love. Baby, you know, the clown girl. Well, in the books, she's actually the perfect 4th adult version of Charlotte, but she's also the robot that still, like we see in the games, devours William Afton's daughter Elizabeth and then goes on to get possessed by her. So this one robot is simultaneously Elizabeth's soul inside of Charlie's adult body, but in addition to dancing and singing and extruding out ice cream, she also has the ability to switch between
that's what I do
like
too.
A passable human,
like, I'm more of a
so that a
gameplay
character
guy,
here
but
actually gets aroused by her.
yeah.
No joke. And also expanding.
Wait, what?
Roused by her. No
Jesus
joke.
Christ.
And also expanding somehow into a giant clown-shaped robot, the one that we all know and love. She does this by using a combination of needles with little balls on the end, as well as sound illusion discs. I mean, how ridiculous is this, right? It's a good thing nothing that stupid appears in the games.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And the illusion discs. Minecraft XP sound effect. And yeah, the illusion disc.
Yep, they're in the games, aren't they? They are, actually.
Yeah.
If you look at Baby's design as it's presented in the games, you see exactly what this book is talking about. The needles with the little balls on the end.
Baby.
And yeah, even the weirdo sound illusion discs.
That is like, okay. Flirty Baby. That shit, on Twitter at least, is like so controversial, but I mean controversial as in like some people are like, it's not meant to be perceived that way, versus, oh, it is. Like, some people think it's Flirty Baby, some people think it's like, I don't know, it's just not. Also, I should probably say, I like these theories, like, this happens like later on too. I like the ones where it's just Matpat talking on the couch or whatever, because they're actually kind of more like, I don't know, down to earth, sort of. More, like, genuine. I like them.
You might see where I'm going with this, right? Well, many hardcore fans want to dismiss the books and treat them as a separate entity. Wall them off entirely from what's going on in the games. You just can't. This book right here, Silver Eyes, is what allowed me to know that Purple Guy's name was going to be revealed as William Afton before Sister Location actually revealed that to be the case.
Those are the design choices we were curious about, Mr. Afton.
Ah! Yeah! Nailed it already! These are the things that confirm that Susie and Fritz were missing children's incident victims before it appeared in FNAF 6. The 4th closet explained what Candy Cadet stories were all about. 5 animatronics, 5 souls, all melted down.
Is it finally fucking over?
Because my theories based on the books tended to frustrate hardcore one entity. Because my theories based on the books,
even when he like gets professional with his editing, I still don't understand why he still uses like that fan-made cover of the Twisted ones, and he still uses some fan-made stuff. I don't understand. Like the official Twisted ones cover is like literally probably the first thing that shows up on Google Images when you look up FNAF the Twisted ones. Come on, Matpat.
Tended to frustrate hardcore community members, I backed off of using them.
Alternate
But
universe.
here we
Fail
are now,
Pat.
me sitting on the
Fail
couch
Pat.
reading this, the Freddy Files Updated Edition, which, in addition to including more fan art than a typical Game Theory episode, also
Oh wait, hold on.
in addition to including more fan art than a typical Game Theory episode.
Says that when you just did. Says that when you like just did with the Twisted ones cover. But seriously, accidentally misuse of fan art is an issue. I was trying to improve, and the struggle is real spot.
Also has that quote that I mentioned from earlier. Here on page 222, second to last page in the book, thoughtful fans might want to give these sections about Henry and William a closer look to determine how they impact the story of the games as well. Note 9 and out, friends. These things, right over here, these three, they're important. They are here
Yes,
to
they are.
stay. So, for
And
today's
I
theory,
finally
I threw away everything. All our assumptions,
So
all the
from
things that
requirement
I
fans
thought
will
we had
try to
solved
enter
from the
that.
games.
Oh.
And I took a fresh, clean look at this franchise, this time starting from the perspective of the books. And that brought me down an insane thought train. Now,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that today's theory is right. I definitely think that there are plenty of holes in it, but I also don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for the story that Scott is trying to tell. It's a theory that's worth
See, this
thinking
sounds
about,
genuine.
because it simultaneously overturns
admitting
a
it's not
lot of
right.
the assumptions that we've made about
Yeah.
the series. Well,
Okay, you self-burned yourself, but you do the same mistake again in the same video.
also filling in a lot of
someone's
logical
fan-made
holes in the
cover.
timeline of events. This is a big one, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. Big like what we missed in FNAF 4 kind of big. Here's my theory for you
Dream
today.
theory.
Mustard Man. You know, orange guy from FNAF 6. I'm gonna say he's Henry, original creator of the
Henry.
animatronics, co-owner of
Henry
Fredbear's
Emily.
Family Diner. That would make this Henry's house. In turn, that would thereby make FNAF 4 his house as well. And if that's his house, then this is Henry's son, and this is Henry's other son. That's right. Crying Child isn't any member of the Afton family. He is Henry's son. And then that would make this
No.
and this Henry's daughter.
Okay, that's
and
true.
therefore, this then would be Henry's daughter's empty
You're half right, but half wrong.
room. Now, hold on. I am sure
Henry
there are
Miller.
plenty of you hardcore FNAFers out there who are ready to tear this huge list apart. This is clearly the
Yeah,
Afton household.
it'd be a good
We have
drinking
established
game,
this time
Spongy.
and time again since the release of Sister Location, but stay with me. Sit back, relax. Who am I kidding? Pull out your pen and paper, start taking notes for your angry rage comment down below. This is a FNAF theory unlike anything we've ever talked about, so
Let's just jump into it.
so I already told
Yeah.
you the big reveal at the end of the fourth closet, that our protagonist Charlie is a robot built in the image of Henry's dead daughter. But there is one last twist here. On the very last page of the book, we go to visit Charlie's grave. The real Charlie, the child who was kidnapped and killed at an early age. It's a grave that ends up high on a hill under a lone tree, similar to a very familiar scene that we see in the games at the end of FNAF 6, the gravestone ending. And on it, we're told the
Yep.
following words were etched into the stone. Beloved daughter, Charlotte Emily, 1980 to 1983. First off, the last name is
1983.
Emily. I mean, there's no other name written here, so that
3
isn't her
years
middle
old.
name. So Henry's last name is Emily? We're talking about the Emily family household? It's just weird. I mean,
know.
this is a book series filled with animatronics that are possessed by human children and metallic soul glue, but Emily as your last name? That has to be the single largest stretch of imagination out there. No
I
offense
know,
to anyone
right?
with Emily as their actual last name. You know it's a real thing.
Yeah, I never met someone though that has like Emily as their last name. Okay, to be fair, my last name is my first name. No, it's not. My last name is a first name. It's Tyler, but like, whatever.
I'm just over-exaggerating my rage for comedic effect. But the important thing here is the date, right? Born in 1980, died in 1983.
3 years old.
83. Should sound familiar, right? Well, why does it matter? FNAF 4. FNAF 4, a game that ends with someone getting themselves bitten, is not depicting the bite of 87 like we all assumed when we first saw that scene.
Was that the
but
bite of
instead
87?
is a game that is set in the year 1983. It frustrated everyone. I mean, why would you choose to do that, Scott? It made no sense for the story that we had become familiar with by that point in the series. It made no sense until today. We know
Beloved
that the
daughter,
gravestone
Charlotte
is real.
Emily.
We know that Henry truly has a daughter
Yeah.
who dies
Sorry.
and goes on to become the puppet in the games. So
this
what
is true.
if that death took place in 1983 like we see in the book? Opens up a lot of possibilities. You see, the other thing that never quite gets explained is this empty girls' room that we're allowed to explore throughout FNAF 4's minigame. Clearly, there's a reason it's here, but we never get a clue as to why or who that room could belong to. This, in turn, led all us FNAF theorists to speculate wildly about the owner of this room. Anyone with 2 X chromosomes was up for debate.
Yeah.
This pigtail girl, and that was it. Honestly, because she was literally the only girl that was introduced into the series at this point. Later, when Sister Location came out, we got ourselves a second girl, and everyone celebrated. It was Afton's daughter, Elizabeth, so that room had to be hers, right? I mean, the game was even alluding to it being hers because it was the Sister Location.
I still believe
But
it's
let's
hers.
stop for a minute and question all of those assumptions. 'Cause
It is
that's
again,
what they
crying
are,
child
really.
and
There's not a
Afton.
whole lot of proof here. What if that girl's room in FNAF 4 belonged to Charlie? Charlotte, Henry's daughter, who dies in 1983. I mean, the room is empty after all. And we're not seeing a whole heck of a lot of girls wandering around the playground area. And the year certainly matches the year of the disappearance and death from the books. Could that girl's room in FNAF 4 actually be Charlotte Emily's room? Could this whole house from FNAF 4 actually be the Henry Emily household? Consider this, in the second novel, The Twisted Ones, a climactic
Again, with
final
the
battle
famous
happens
cover.
in an underground animatronic facility. Sounds a bit like our sister location. When our heroes
So you
emerge
have the book in your hand, so you should know that that's the official cover. Or
to
whatever.
the surface,
Excuse
they
me.
find themselves in the ruins of a familiar house.
Ruin.
Here's the quote.
Ruins. Ruin.
Don't you see where we are?
Your body
Charlie
with their
whispered.
Freddy.
John, it's my dad's house. It's the room we found. The underground facility isn't under William Afton's house. Instead, in the books, it's hidden under Henry's house. And now, what do we see in the games? A hidden facility
Nice,
buried
Solar Pumpkin.
directly under the FNAF 4 house. A house that we've been assuming up until this point to be Afton's house. But it's
Thank you,
starting
Zom,
to
dude.
look
You have a
more
good
and more
birthday.
like it might be Henry's. And that's not all. Let's take a minute to
Should talk
flash
about
back to FNAF
Wormhammer.
6, shall we? Now, overall, I feel like we've
Have
done
they
a pretty
not?
darn good job of wrapping up this game's loose ends. We know
They're not
all the
helping.
names on the different gravestones. We know what Candy Cadet is rambling on about. We know that Fruity Maze girl here is Susie, who gets lured away and stuffed into Chica. Heck, we
One question though. He has like about 10 or 11 minutes to get onto him, but what does this have to do with Help Wanted?
even know that the game itself, this building, could be the potential box where the pieces all come together and eventually get burned away.
Because he has Help,
But the
VR
one thing
Help
that we
Wanted in the
don't
title.
know is the answer to Midnight Motorist, a minigame that, true to form, was the one moment in every FNAF game where everyone collectively looks at the screen and then slams their head on the desk.
Jesus Christ.
What? There's an orange guy now? Who the heck is the kid? Where did he
Jack Kennedy.
go? Why is his window broken? Why are there footprints outside of the window? What is going on? I mean, we have smoothed over so much of this franchise, and I feel so confident about so much of this lore, and
Yeah.
that game, that one little mini game is the one that just like niggles the back of my mind. If I could ask Scott Cawthon one thing about this entire franchise, this is the one that I'd want him to explain. No joke. I don't care about anything else. This is the one that I feel so befuddled on. Why?
Little did we know, in Matpat's retirement video, when he meets up with Scott Cawthon, we find out a bit more like what they really talked about. Midnight Motorist was one of them, so Matpat knows we don't.
I'm so determined to
The
solve
fuck
it,
is up
and why
with
I'm doing
Midnight
today's
Motorist?
theory. Because in the past, I've felt fairly confident saying that the mustard man here is William Afton.
The Mustard
because he drives
Man.
a purple car and he's driving away from the scene where the puppet girl died. But now, I'm not so sure. It always bothered me and literally everyone else, that a guy who has been associated with one color, the color purple, for the entirety of this franchise is suddenly orange. I tried to dismiss it
Jack
as
and Dave.
Scott pulling a Scott, but you know, that's not the most satisfying answer. It doesn't feel conclusive, you know? And more importantly, those footprints outside
William
of
the
the window,
Piss
I mean,
Man.
why are they there? Either an animatronic went to meet this boy outside of his window, but that seems unlikely based on how we know these animatronics behave, or it was someone in a costume showing up to lure the boy out of his room.
Costume.
That one definitely seems like the more likely
Candy
solution, but the only person in the entirety of this franchise who would do something like that.
I have like a Freddy mask of this costume brand. I think I don't remember if I have the rest of the costume though. But I just know that like with the mask it is so hard to see through. So it's kind of it's kind of shit to walk in. So yeah, that's why I don't even wear it. I have it hung up though.
That is big ol' Willie A. And why would he do something like that to his own kid in his own house and then get mad about it? Things just don't add up cleanly. It's a question that really started
here we
when I was
go.
playing FNAF VR Help Wanted.
Here we go.
Glitchtrap is clearly modeled after the first suit ever used by William Afton. You can tell based on his stitching. This is a hand-sewn bodysuit rather than any sort of animatronic suit that we would see later in the series. This also coincides with the timing of the Midnight Motorist cutscene, which shows the birth of the puppet, one of the first major deaths of the entire FNAF story. Glitchtrap's suit also very distinctly has 3 toes, just like the footprints outside
counting
the window.
toes.
Now, as we know, Scott Cawthon likes to clarify things in his next game. And if there was one huge question mark left from before, that Midnight Motorist minigame was it. So we have ourselves a suit that would have been in use around the time of the minigame, as well as a matching foot pattern to the design that we see in the minigame. Heck, we even have ourselves a potential reference to it from Ultimate Custom Night and the Toy Chica cutscenes.
He'll be mine by the end of the day.
Oh no.
I just know it. I told him to come over later. That should be enough. And if he doesn't show up, I'll just go to his house. And if he doesn't open the door, I'll just find a window.
And here's where everything starts coming together. Let's assume that William Afton, in his Glitchtrap suit with its 3 toes, is the one who's standing outside of that window, outside of Henry's house. He lures the crying child out, now Henry's son, to bring him back to the place that he loves more than anywhere else in the world, Dreadbear's family diner. But we know that this is also the night where William takes his first victim, Charlotte, who's killed outside the diner. This would explain why in FNAF 6, the crying child would actively run to Fredbear's against his father's will, but later, come FNAF 4, he would be terrified of stepping foot there. Remember what you saw and all that, as Psychic Fred Fredbear reminds him constantly. He saw the murder happen that night. That is what we're seeing in that FNAF 6
retconning
gender. Meanwhile, we have ourselves the Mustard Man, who we're assuming is going to be Henry. He has a kid who's not only run away on multiple occasions, but is so determined to do so that he's willing to break through his own window to get there. So, how do you keep him safe at home? Well, you lock him in his room. Just like we
Why do you keep deleting your messages, bro?
But maybe locking him in his room isn't enough. Maybe you also have a series of security cameras hidden around the room. Heck, hidden around your house. Hiding a security camera inside the Fredbear plushie that he takes everywhere. To keep your son safe. To keep track of where he is at any given point in time. Heck, maybe you could go so far as to design sound illusion discs to make him scared of the animatronics that he's seeing. His once beloved animatronic friends now terrifying to him, causing nightmarish hallucinations of the characters, just like the discs that we see hidden inside of Funtime Freddy's chest and sister location. The same discs that Henry is confirmed to have created in the books. These two, right here, they play a huge role in these 2 books. Though most of them in the books bear Afton's name, they were originally created by Henry in an attempt to warp the world around him, to hide from the grief that he felt after the loss of his child. Discs that, wouldn't you know it, Afton hides inside the Funtime robots, just like we see in the games. But as we see in FNAF 4, it isn't enough. The crying child still winds up at Freddy's, he still gets himself bitten, and he dies. With that iconic line in yellow, "I will put you back together." Now, remember that quote I keep going back to in this book right here, second to last page. Thoughtful fans might want to revisit sections of how Henry and Afton's view of the robots change over time in order to determine how they impact the story of the games. Well, Henry in the books uses the robots to bring his daughter back to life. He rebuilds her. He puts her quite literally back together. He used the robots to try and heal his grief. I mean, if anyone in this series is gonna say a line like, "I will put you back together," it's Henry. Heck, maybe Mustard Man is the color that he is in order to better match the color of his FNAF 4 text. "I will put you back together in yellow." And yeah, sure, it's yellow and not orange, but guess what? Purple Guy was pink in his first outing. As the series has gotten darker, so too has the color palettes. But seriously, there are two colors that are relatively similar. Maybe there's a connection there. And if the crying child is indeed Michael, as I've talked about a lot in past theories, Henry literally rebuilding his lost son like he does his lost daughter in the books explains all of the weirdness of Mike's behavior throughout the series. How he's able to survive being scooped, how he has fragmented memories of his past, how he doesn't die after puking up mom's robot spaghetti, how he's only able to die by fire.
I should be dead.
Mike says to put you back together in the third
It's
movie
also
if
worth
Abby
noting
gets
that
seriously
at
hurt.
no point in the series is
no.
Michael ever explicitly identified as Michael Afton. Now, it seems like Mike and Sister Location is referring to William Afton as father.
Father, it's me, Michael.
And him saying,
I'm going to come find you.
Father.
As Springtrap appears, definitely makes it seem like he's going out and looking for William, but that may just be another Scott misdirect. It's open to interpretation. I mean, this scene alone still has people convinced that Springtrap is Mike trapped inside of the suit. Mike Trap, even though I feel like it's pretty well established at this point that it's William Afton in there. It's still Will Trap. But there are people who are vehemently determined that Mike Trap is the reality of the canon of this series. Regardless of the whole Michael stuff, William Afton in these books is all about achieving immortality through the robots. He's interested in the science of it all. He wants to study the original FNAF gang and replicate the living metal that resulted from their deaths. That's why we see him tearing apart the robots in FNAF 3's minigames. He wants access to their metal. He wants to harvest it to run experiments. He wants to melt down those living endoskeletons so he can harness the possessed metal to create the funtime animatronics. I mean, that is the whole point of Candy Cadet's stories in FNAF 6. 5 things melted down to create one thing. And it's exactly what we see happen as a huge plot point in the final book. Henry, on the other hand, is the emotional one. He's a creator who gets too invested in his own work. He's a bit of a neglectful father while he's alive, but he's devastated when he loses his daughter, turning to the one and only thing that he knows and understands to try and bring her back: robots. He goes through extreme lengths to use his robotic skills to try and bring her back to life, and he does it. He succeeds. He creates the most absurdly lifelike humanoid animatronics ever in science fiction. And they have to be to do some of the stuff that you see happen in these books because it is absurd. But if we are truly meant to apply the themes of these books to the games, then this isn't the Afton family household.
The Emily's.
It doesn't make sense. It's the Emily
it's the
family
Afton household,
It would explain the factory under the house. It would explain the empty girl's bedroom in FNAF 4. It would explain the 1983 date that we're presented with. It would say why Mustard Man is yellow, why there are footprints outside the window, why the crying child is suddenly scared of Freddy's, and it would even go so far as to explain the line, "I will put you back together."
It's the Afton
Are there
house.
holes to this thing? Absolutely.
Oh, it's
Are
so
there things
I
that are
didn't realize.
difficult to explain? Are you kidding me? This is FNAF. Gonna be true no matter this is William's house, Henry's house, or the frickin' White House. It's an extreme theory. But I think it's one that's worth considering.
It isn't the Afton house or the Emily house. It's the fucking Biden house.
Considering because of its alignment with the books, and because of the lingering threads that it answers. Which is why today I encourage you to discuss down below in the comments, discuss over on Reddit, and most importantly to remember that it's all just a theory.
Yeah, don't start conversations.
Game
That's
theory. Thanks for
well, it
watching.
depends on the subreddit, but Reddit's still like a very iffy. Okay, there's nothing in the end. All right, so. Okay, so yeah, Okay, so basically, Matpat. Alright, Matpat was right about some things, but at the same time, there's some things he wasn't. So some things were just. No. No. He got the fact that Henry is Charlie's father right. Charlie is Henry's daughter. He got that right. But there's things he got wrong. There's things he got wrong. The crying child is an Afton, not an Emily. That's the Afton household that you see in FNAF 4 minigames and FNAF 4 in general. The room belongs to Elizabeth, not Charlie. And no. In terms of the Midnight Motorist shit, I have no idea. I'm not gonna comment on that. I don't even know that shit. Like, holy fuck. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna. All right. Before we watch the next theory, I'm actually gonna do something. But I'll say. But I just wanna. All right. Because I've been meaning to do this, but I just haven't been getting to. All right. So. I'm just counting. Okay, I'm gonna see how many FNAF theories we have left. We have a lot though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Shit, I fucking lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, I guess. I'll count that. 25, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45. We have 45 videos left. 45. We have 45 game theories left. Hold on. Alright. We have 45 of these left. Okay. I didn't even know. I did not even know. Okay. We'll just get straight back into this. Get straight back in. Alright. Okay, dog stopped barking. Okay, so I added a thing. So, by the way, one of these includes the stop the ARG hunt video, which we will rewatch just because I love me controversy. So yeah. Anyway, game theory. FNAF just got a reboot. This was October 3rd, and it uses FNAF AR in the thumbnail, even though the game didn't come out till November. So
Ready to have your mind blown by FNAF yet again? Let's do a little trick, shall we? I'm in the process of currently downloading and installing brand new copies of each and every one of the FNAF games, so you all know that we're working with a blank slate here. But the games that we're specifically interested in are FNAF World and Ultimate Custom Night. The free ones. Huzzah for not having to buy these games for literally like the 4th time. Let me just open up both of these on the computer to show you that we are working with absolutely clean and fresh copies of both these games. Open up FNAF World. The first time that we open this, we should get that cutscene of the 2 yellow beady eyes telling us that something has happened out in the world.
Yep.
There it is. We're just gonna wait here a second while that dramatically plays. We hit start. And you can see here.
I remember this one. This one's one of the
on
more
screen,
relaxed
right? We have
ones
slots
too.
1, 2, and 3, all
I think I
empty.
remember liking
No
this one.
trophies along the bottom, and that's the important point here, right? Each time you beat the game, you get a different trophy along the bottom based on what ending you got. So notice 0 trophies, 0 endings, 0 gameplay. Okay, so we're gonna X out of that as well. Fantastic. Hopping on over to Ultimate Custom Night, there is no high scores unlocked. We have no power-ups that have been given to us. Our office is the default office. Nothing, right? No creepy cutscenes of Toy Chica in her skimpy school uniform. Nothing. We are clean to go. Nada. Now, let me set the scene for you, right? If you think back to the release of Ultimate Custom Night, we were all really excited to see who would be included in this mega list of who's who in the FNAF universe. This big final game to celebrate the ending of the series, burning things to the ground at the end of FNAF 6. Some of the inclusions were obvious, right? Like the 70+ versions of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Spring...
What the fuck? Hold on.
The 70+ versions of Freddy, Bonnie...
What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Is that meant to be Theodore? Like the plushie from like the books? Nah.
Chica, Fox...
Who the fuck is that? Wizard. And who the fuck is that?
See, Springtrap, Gold...
Or you didn't do it for Springtrap.
And Freddy and the Puppet, right?
You didn't do it for the puppet.
They're in practically every game. They're super important to the lore of the games. No big surprises there. But then, when the roster kept expanding, you got to some weird inclusions, right? You got yourself Music Man over here.
Man!
Why? El Chip, which is basically just a glorified reference to like one of his failed games before Five Nights at Freddy's. Strange, sapient pile of garbage over here. Like, not people that you would immediately think of as being included in the, like,
yeah, I didn't include Funtime Freddy before I did that.
Have list of characters in this franchise. But of them all, there was one inclusion that felt the strangest of all to me. This one right here. Old Man Consequences from FNAF World. A character who, if you're not super familiar with that particular game, is your punishment for going too deep into the code of the game.
Yeah.
You see, FNAF World is a video game that's aware that it's a game, right? And throughout the adventure, you repeatedly have to dive into
Man, they have a lot of fucking Faz. I forget how many Faz. I think it's Faz. It's either Faz tokens or Faz coins. I forgot how many I got in like my FNAF World 100% completion revisit stream to get like all the bites and upgrades and shit.
Repeatedly warned against going more than 3 layers deep into those glitches. Otherwise, you're going to be trapped there forever. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what happens if you don't heed the warnings. You wind up at Old Man Consequences Lake, trapped. What makes it so weird to see him here, though, in Ultimate Custom Night, is that FNAF World is a game that Scott has largely disowned. He's embarrassed
He's kind of
and it's a game
back
that's
to
ultimately
it with
been
like
dismissed by the fan base
games.
as non-canon, in part because of those reasons, but also in part because it seems more closely tied to the book lore than it is to the game lore. And yet, here he is, Old Man Consequences in Ultimate
I think
Custom
this is
Night,
how, though.
alongside characters that are definitely canonical in a game that is also canonical, right? It has the canonical...
Well, remember when Scott said Nightmare BB was the only canon character from the Halloween update, but then they have like Nightmare. They have basically almost almost every character from that update appear afterwards. Like, UCN literally has Jaco Chica and like Nightmare Ione and Nightmare Mangle, and then like Help Wanted has all of them except for Nightmare Mangle, and then Security Breach has, and Help 1 and 2 have Nightmare Ione plushies, and I think Ruin. And then FNAF AR has Jaco Bonnie and Jaco Chica. So it's like Nightmare BB's not the only canon one anymore.
Ending of William Afton suffering eternal torment at the hands of Golden Freddy. It's almost like Scott Cawthon is telling us that Old Man Consequences is implicitly canonical. He's canonical by association.
Canonical.
So, why do I bring all this up? Well, there's an Easter egg in Custom Night that you've probably seen back when people were playing that game, right? You set Old Man Consequences to a difficulty level of 1, and you start your night. You're gonna turn off the fan, and here we sit. There's no one here to attack us outside of Old Man Consequences, so hopefully he shows up. Oh, and here's Dee Dee.
Oh boy.
Who has,
Here's another one
by
that's
proxy
canon.
of doing this, ruined our opportunity to unlock this Easter egg, so we're going to restart. Please alt for this.
See, this is organic. I love
We're
this.
gonna try again.
I love this style of
Recent
theorizing.
ventilation, thank you. Oh, there is. Boom. Good. So now, here we go, right? We're falling, quote unquote, falling through the source code of the game. We wind up here. This is Old Man Consequences Lake, right? You may have seen this Easter egg during people's gameplays, but here we go. We go to Old Man Consequences over here, and he gives us his line. Come and sit with me a while. Leave the demon to his demons. Rest your soul. There's nothing else.
This was,
We
I remember this
concluded
being so cool
in one
at
of
the
our
time,
past
Old Man
theories about
Consequences
Ultimate
Secret.
Custom Night that this is Old Man Consequences talking to the vengeful spirit that exists inside Golden Freddy, trying to tell him, hey dude, chill out, move on with your afterlife. Just let William Afton suffer on his own. Because if you listen to the audio that's playing in the background of this scene, you can definitely hear him suffering. Well, it's either his tormented screams or, you know, Scott Cawthon shouting through a fan. Now,
Damn.
most people seeing this Easter egg would be like, well, now what do? There's nothing else.
Yeah.
I guess I gotta restart the game. Alt F4. And
No.
already this would be a really cool, really elaborate Easter egg. However, for those of us who have played through and know FNAF World better than we probably should, we know that there is one final thing that you can do in this scene, right? You can move on over to the top of the lake and you can drown yourself.
Yeah.
Now, in that game, when you did this, it would actually reveal a secret ending that is completely hidden from that game's texture files. It shows a person standing alongside two smaller figures in front of this flashing TV screen. It's a parent
People think
and their two
it's
kids,
gotten as
or
good.
at least that's as much as I can make of it, right? And sure enough, you can actually do the same thing here in Ultimate Custom Night, going into the lake and drowning yourself. Except here, it ultimately crashes the game. Going deep into the lake.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trapped in the water. Oh no! It's like quicksand.
It's
It's not so much a
it
lake
is
as
like
it is quicksand.
quicksand.
But here we go.
I always like
We're
the
going
mini
down to
game.
the lake,
It's like I love how in UCN it's kind of just like a callback to FNAF World.
deeper, 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 and it crashes the game. Right? Or back to the home screen. No hidden
a secret
ending or
neighbor.
Easter egg there. But here's
I
where
hope he
things
enjoys
get
the second
crazy.
that frame by frame.
Instead of me booting up Ultimate Custom Night again, we're gonna hop back over to that
I love
brand
this
new,
intro.
fresh,
Wait, this is
clean
just an
copy
intro?
of FNAF World that I showed you
Shit,
earlier.
you're right.
Here we
This
go,
is an
FNAF
intro.
World. We have not played this
Chapters.
game whatsoever.
Coffins.
And we hit start.
Puppet in Space Snaffle Delivery.
Wouldn't you know it? Without playing a second of this game, look what suddenly appeared on our menu screen. A trophy that you unlock in FNAF World by visiting Old Man Consequences Lake. In other words, these two games, but more importantly, in the lore of this franchise, these two worlds are connected
Yeah.
somehow.
FNAF,
But
FNAF
what
World.
does all this mean? That, my friends, is our episode for today.
Alright. I see the Springtrap Funko Pop. I just think the coloring could be better on it. I still think it's a great pop. I love it. This is pretty up there. Bowser.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the channel where it's always April, considering the number of Easter egg hunts.
Oh my
we go
god.
on. So that connection between
Easter.
FNAF
That
World
just
and Ultimate
passed.
Custom Night was originally discovered by Reddit user Roxas Lucario, and it ultimately hinges on an info file that collects variable information from across the various games. For instance, the first time you start up FNAF World, you're presented with an opening cutscene.
Something went very wrong. That's why I'm here. I will put you back together.
Great, awesome. Go to the info page after seeing that creepy opening cutscene, and suddenly the trigger first is activated, presumably telling the game that you've seen that scene once before, so for all subsequent playthroughs, you don't have to see it again. That's how these sorts of variables work. But what's weird, though, is that the trigger for this drowned ending and unlocking the trophy is titled Beat Game 4, which might just mean it's the fourth ending of FNAF World, fine, but why then would Scott use that exact same variable name in Ultimate Custom Night? It's not like there's multiple endings in that game, and it's not like Ultimate Custom Night is the fourth game in the franchise. Him using that exact same variable name suggests that the connection between the two was very much intentional, and that, my friends, is just scratching the surface.
Well, I mean,
because
they're both games that have like basically almost every character from the series at that time. It was at those times.
Small but very, very important Easter egg starts laying the groundwork for where this series is ultimately headed moving forward. Where FNAF VR clearly left off, and where the new FNAF AR game, Special Delivery, releasing this October, is taking us next. Oh yeah,
Rip
didn't you
as
know
in
there's
rest
a new
in
FNAF
piss.
AR game and it's right around the corner. There's a trailer for it and everything. Because my torment is year-round and unceasing. Looks like we're gonna end up playing hide and seek with a bunch of animatronics, but more on that one in a minute. FNAF World was a game that was largely ignored by us theorists because
I wish it was that. I wish you could like, I don't know how they'd be able to do it, but like I wish you could like hide and stuff from the characters and be like utilize the environments more. But no, it's the same fucking gameplay mechanics that get old after 10 minutes.
Look at it.
You won't get tired of my voice, will you?
I'm not sure what came over you.
The worst part is I have to remember all of my complaints for FNAF AR when I eventually do the Fazbear retrospective episode of it.
But in all seriousness, for all the memes all this franchise has, it's never been particularly meta. The lore, on the whole, was its own self-contained story within this fictional universe. The only times
These
things
drawings,
got truly
well,
meta
not really
was
drawings,
in
but
FNAF
they look
World,
good
which
in
sure
that like
helped
type
us to
of
predict the appearance
format.
of Baby and Henry into the mainline games, but it was also the game where Scott
That's an
Coffin
old
literally
theory.
appears as the final boss, complaining about how sick he was of pumping out new games for our insatiable appetite for animatronic dad. Scott, you're our mama bird, my friend. You shoot that sweet, sweet lore down into my gullet. But
Christ.
you can see why most of us would puke
What's
that
it? Golden Freddy,
sweet, sweet lore
Purple Guy.
down into
I didn't see that one.
animatronic dad. Scott, you're our
I didn't. Hold on.
mama bird.
Mama bird.
My friend. Puke
Golden
that
Freddy,
sweet,
Purple Guy.
sweet lord
It looks like Springtrap. Glitchtrap.
Gullet.
Okay. Just have to see those where the last two like went pretty quick. I could. Alright.
But you can see why most of us would take this as a joke, right? Scott isn't a character in the FNAF universe, so it has to be just another game for the
Scott
lulz.
animatronic.
Except now,
I'm surprised that wasn't a hoax back in the day. Is like people tried making like Purple Guy animatronic, but like I'm surprised nobody's tried making like a Scott animatronic. Well, to be fair, when FNAF hoaxes were popular, or they were at their most believable, Scott's face wasn't really like known for sure yet. I don't think so. Yeah.
oh, Scott is a
Unless they made
character
one
in
based
the
on the
game.
Atom Dude.
As of FNAF VR, it's revealed to us that Scott, since the beginning, has played a critical role in the lore of the FNAF universe.
We know that Fazbear Entertainment
Oh, yeah.
has developed something
It's caused
of a
a lot
bad reputation over the last few decades.
debacle.
And while it's true that some stories associated with
Scott
our
called
name
it.
were based
No,
on
I'm
actual
fucking
events,
fucking
the
around.
majority of them were total fabrications.
I can't wait for
from
Help
the
1 and
mind
2 to
of a
come up for
complete
Quest.
lunatic. Lawsuits pending.
I want to
If
play
that
that
wasn't
game
explicit
again.
enough, the secret
That was a
tapes
fun
hidden throughout
game.
the game make it even
Second one.
clearer.
Help 1 and 1 was pretty fun too.
They lied to all of us. They told us that the whole point of this VR game was to undo the bad PR done by a rogue indie game developer who supposedly made up a bunch of crazy stories that tarnished the brand.
Don't have to tell me twice, that rogue indie developer is obviously Scott. That's just where it begins, because FNAF World was trying to tell us something else about where this franchise was headed. Video games crossing into the real world and vice versa. You see, FNAF World is a lot of things. A lot of things. But its main plot revolves around the aftermath of FNAF 4. We're told when we first boot up the game that something has happened out there in the real world, and it's having an effect in here, the sanctuary, the world of this particular game. From there, the rest of the game features a main quest that's completely hidden. You could go through this entire game and never come across the actual real plot of this thing. The only way that you would know about this is by accidentally lingering on the first dialogue boxes of the game, which in turn releases glitched 8-bit Fredbear. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere.
Change the
Who
sprite.
you gonna call? Glitched 8-bit Fredbear. This, in turn, unlocks separate missions to find clocks, and it's here that we find our first instance of video game to real-life crossover. You see, each clock is a minigame that connects back to FNAF 3, and all the individual steps necessary to unlock the Happiest Day cutscene. That game's good and canonical ending. If you think way back to that game, it always bothered me that punching random blocks on a wall or double-clicking a random poster in your real-life security office was somehow allowing us to put the spirits of the dead children to rest. But FNAF World gave us an explanation even though we ignored it back at the time. FNAF World, the game world, or more accurately, the spirits that are trapped existing in that game's code, were able to push out and affect changes IRL through those clock minigames. That's how you get these kind of video gamey moments in what is otherwise a realistic, albeit haunted setting. Now, why is any of this important? Why are we talking about it now so many years after these games were first released? Well, because it's only starting to matter now. It's exactly what we saw happen at the end of FNAF VR Help Wanted. That game established sentient code that was looking to escape from its video game prison.
It was just junk. Circuit boards and things like that. Looked pretty old. Somehow, though, there was usable code on some of it. It seemed to take hold by itself. Things started changing.
What I'm saying here is that in the official lore of this series, official lore that is apparently dating back...
I just noticed something. Okay. So, fucking Matpat uses this image a lot to represent the lore of FNAF, like it's like a book. Why is Freddy's ear over Mr. Hippo? And Withered Cheek. Why is Freddy's ear and his fucking shit? Oh my god. Why is Freddy like this in the fucking book? In the fucking book cover. Why do I always notice this shit?
Further than we would have expected, computer code is somehow able to store the minds or spirits or whatever of these characters and eventually rebirth them out into the real world if the right steps are taken. See also Petscop. And in FNAF VR, we see an instance of this happening. William Afton, who was trapped in the circuit boards, was released into the code of this new game, Help Wanted, where he then took the form of Glitchtrap until finally, through us playing the game and collecting the tapes and putting the pieces back together, was able to escape again. But this time, he was able to escape not just from circuit boards, but out into the real world. All of it. All of this goes back to the story that FNAF World was trying to tell us years ago. The story that we all didn't take seriously because the final boss was literally an impervious rainbow.
Are you kidding me? Come on! What the? What?
To be okay,
I'm only...
This boss fight in FNAF World with Gina's Magic Rainbow is honestly not that bad if you constantly use Slasher. If you line up Purple Guy and Jaku Bonnie in the same team or whatever, and you just keep using Slasher over and over, you're guaranteed to get enough slashers in to kill the Magic Rainbow, Gina's Magic Rainbow, even before there's a minute left sometimes. So, yeah.
Just realizing it now, but Help Wanted is actually a cute and really brilliant name. I mean, we all thought it was help in terms of like a want ad, right? Help as a video game tester, which is the core premise of the game, but it's also Help Wanted. Glitchtrap wanted, heck, he needed...
Yeah, that's something I've always appreciated about like the FNAF series, because like Usually because like Help One is not the only one that does this. Like almost every game that has like a sub name or whatever, or subtitle, or whatever, has like a double meaning. Like sister location literally means both. It's like a sister location to Freddy's, but it also means that's the location of Mike's sister. Then Pizzeria Simulator is means that you're literally simulating a pizzeria, like you're building a pizzeria, but also that you're simulating a pizzeria for like a plan to end it all. Help 1-8, Matpat just explained it. And then with Security Breach, so literally there's literally a breach in security. I forget what the second meaning for security breach is, honestly. But yeah.
Our help in order to escape. So, well done, Scott. Good name. Just like Pizzeria Simulator
Yeah,
rips
here
on
we
the
go.
idea of simulator games, but really it's an empty box waiting as a trap to catch the final
Yep.
animatronics and
That's
burn
what
them
I was saying.
alive. Or how Sister Location is all about
Yep.
a separate but related robotics business, but also about a key character's sister, maybe, question mark. Well done,
Yep.
Scott. Well done. Slow clap.
It's so clever.
Now, you might be
I actually
thinking,
like that
wow,
a lot.
malicious code, people trapped in video games? This sounds nothing like the original story that started off this whole franchise. And
yeah,
that's
exactly.
entirely the point. The old story of Five Nights at Freddy's was, at least in part, a complete lie.
They lied to us. They told us that the whole point of this VR game was to undo the bad PR done by a rogue indie game developer. But that's not true at all. Fazbear Entertainment hired the game developer. Those indie games were designed to conceal and make light of what happened. This isn't just an attempt to rebrand. It's an elaborate cover-up.
Let me rephrase what we just heard. Scott is one of the bad guys. Based on
Yep.
the lore in Help Wanted, he was
Which is
hired on by
funny.
Fazbear Entertainment to create the FNAF
funny
games,
twist
give us
lore.
the spooky ghost stories that exist within them, and in turn distract us from the real truth. Distract us away from what Fazbear's goals really were. He was lying to us. If FNAF VR's tapes are to be believed, pretty much everything we know from the first 3, at least, but maybe even 4, 5, heck 6 games could all be thrown out as complete fabrications created by Scott Cawthon for the sole reason because he was paid off by Fazbear Entertainment. This thing, Glitchtrap, might not even be a recreation of someone named William Afton. Heck,
Yeah.
William Afton might not even exist. Though, to be honest, he probably does since he's mentioned by name at the beginning of FNAF's sister location, and FNAF VR seems to replicate his original crimes pretty darn closely. So I'm gonna assume that some of that is actually true. The long story
Yeah.
short here is that FNAF VR, in
like
making
Dreadbear
Scott
again.
part of the Fazbear cover-up, is the franchise's way of rebooting the story for the next generation, telling us that
Security
with
breach.
FNAF VR, we're starting an entirely new lore. In
are.
disowning Scott's
Some
story
people
as
haven't
lies,
realized
it's
that yet.
explicitly telling us that everything we've known up to this point is wrong. It's a distraction. Instead, the real story, the story that's going to be told to us via the next generation of Five Nights at Freddy's games, is carrying forward the core themes and
2021
ideas
edition.
that were first introduced to us back in FNAF World. A story of video games, code, all coming to life and crossing over into the real world. And funny enough, if we look back to FNAF World, it was trying to tell us the truth about this theme the entire time. As 8-bit Glitchbear tells us in that game, don't be deceived by the one pulling the strings. It's why Scott is technically the final boss of the game, but the true ending, the clock ending that unlocks the key Easter eggs from FNAF 3, it has nothing to do with him at all. It's entirely disconnected from why Scott is there. Again, the indie developer known as Scott Cawthon within the FNAF lore is
Stupid
trying to
Cawthon.
distract us away from the truth of what we should be doing in these games. And if you think I'm reading too much into this, think again. Scott is trying to clue us back into the importance of FNAF World. As many of you know, Scott has his website, scottgames.com, where there's always some new teaser image and stuff hidden in the source code. And on there right now is a really cool teaser for the next FNAF game coming out in 2020. Clearly,
Which
by looking at it, it's a
came
FNAF
out in
Stranger Things
2021.
crossover, considering the 1980s
No.
era
No.
neon-themed mall straight out of season 3 of that
No.
show. But what's a little less well known, though,
No.
is Scott's second site,
Security Breach is
FNAFworld.com,
nothing like
which
Stranger
has been
Things.
dormant for a really long time. Dormant, at least until a month ago. You see, it was updated to have a big old number 58 smack dab in the middle of it.
I forget.
And when you bright...
Did we ever find out what this meant? Did we ever, like, came to a conclusion about this? Huh. Oh, Friday in Space 2. Okay, you're right.
Brighten things up because you always brighten things up when you're given something by Scott Cawthon. You see a bunch of funny reviews appear for whatever this new game is going to end up being. Now, the number 58 might seem like it's
Probably the worst idea he's ever had. It's like he doesn't care anymore. 5 years for this. Are we a joke to you? Stop.
completely random, right?
After
Whatever this new game is going to end up
after
being.
Dream Theory.
This number, but it's actually not. It all goes back to, you guessed it, FNAF.
Okay, yeah.
In that game, there's a playable demo for the latest unreleased FNAF game, Freddy in Space. That game's number, installment number 57. Meaning that Scott's next project, or at least one of his next projects coming out in a few months, is going to be another wacky minigame with lore connections potentially hidden inside of it. In fact, if FNAF 57 Freddy in Space
So there wasn't
is
really
believed,
much lore in Freddy
as
in
you
Space
play
2.
through it in FNAF World, the next installment is going to be titled Poopits in Space, which sounds completely dumb, but you saw those hidden reviews. They were not super positive about whatever FNAF 58 is shaping up to be. And heck, you don't even have to take it from me. It is coming straight from Scott's own disembodied head floating in a jar from that game. Like I said, FNAF World is weird. And we are still not done. The idea of games and code, digital horrors crossing over, we are still not done. The idea of games and code.
Again with the fan-made covers of Sister Location and Help Wanted. Doing the same thing you did with Twisted One's cover. And literally, Scott Cawthon got bitched at by his community for the Help Wanted poster before. Come on. Matpat.
Digital horrors crossing over into the real world is becoming more explicit in his other new game that he's working on. The one that we know is releasing this October. FNAF Special Delivery, an augmented reality title that, based on the trailer and the title, will have animatronics being dropped off into your house. Sure, the idea of using your phone to see the animatronics roaming around your home might just seem like a fun, quirky new way to play these sorts of games, but from a lore standpoint, you wouldn't be surprised if what this is actually doing is forwarding the core themes of the new direction for the story of these games. Deadly characters starting off as harmless pieces of code and then escaping out into the real world through your device. It's happened with Glitchtrap. By the nature of augmented reality, it's literally happening again in this game. Anyway, you slice it, the lines
what
between
AR turned into.
reality
Yep.
and fiction are getting blurry.
Nobody
And
knew
it
what AR
stopped.
would turn
FNAF
into
World, of all
during this
things,
point
that
in
are
time.
serving
This was
as the
October
bridge
2019 he
linking
released
those
this
two
video.
worlds. It all started coming to a head with FNAF VR,
FNAF
but
VR came out a
starting this
month later.
October, don't be surprised if this franchise, as we know it, really starts to change. But
Dreadbear
hey,
wasn't
that's
even out yet.
just
This is
a
October
theory.
3rd.
A game theory. Thanks for watching. Me put up the subscribe button so you can click it and join the army of 12 million other loyal theorists out there just like you. Bet you can't click it and finish writing a comment about your favorite animatronic within 5 seconds of me counting. 5, 4, 3, 2. And heck, if you're itching to see more reality-bending storytelling like in FNAF World, well then check out our ongoing analysis of Petscop, the online horror video game web series. The finale of this mystery just aired. I'm actually working on my analysis of it right now, and you can be all caught up for when those final episodes air. Oh, I forgot to say one, didn't I? Look, you did it! Congratulations! Now my work is complete. I fade away into the darkness for yet another week. I'll see you next time for kindergarten.
Nugget. I love nuggets. I remember when Matpat or Steph would do that voice. Do like a Cartman sounding voice for Nugget. I want to play Kindergarten. That's like a game I've been meaning to play. Both that and the sequel. I've been meaning to play those for like some time now. What do you guys want to see a Kindergarten stream? Like the game? Anyway, so yeah. Oh wait, hold on. Hold on, I forgot to update. I forgot that I started doing this. Hold on. 44 remain. 44 videos remain. Alright. I mean, I never had interest in that series. Alright. Snapple theory. Alright, so the next... Okay, we're only doing game theories. We're only doing the game theories. Well, unless we're doing the... Stop the ARG hunt, because I love drama, but like... Okay, that's not for like a while. Alright, so... Okay, so basically, that last one was pretty okay. It was alright. Love the FNAF world connections. Yeah, I don't have enough really to say about that one. It's okay. Pretty epic and cute. Alright. I'm just gonna get straight in. So, November 16th, 2019. So, this is about Chris Dreadbear. This is what it says in the title. It's funny how like a lot of people consider Ruin its own game, but they don't consider Dreadbear its own game. That ain't fair. Curse of Dreadbear is actually good.
Special announcement. Ready for a huge special announcement?
Huge special announcement.
Me, Markiplier.
Oh, yeah, game theory, FNAF, the Cult of Glitchtrap. Oh, and this is going to be about the Freddy's Face 2 charity stream. I remember.
Paco, the kings of Five Nights at Freddy's, together in one room against a brand new FNAF game with thousands of dollars at stake, live. Do I have your attention? Great! Because it's happening right here on the channel, December 3rd. Mark your calendars, you're not going to want to miss this. But why are we doing this, you might ask? Well, every year, Steph and I try to do at least one major charity event for a cause that affects all of us here in the theorist community. And last year, with your help, we donated over $200,000, all dedicated to researching better treatments for depression and other mental illnesses. And this year, we're taking on cancer. Specifically childhood cancer, because I think all of us have at least at some point known or lost someone to cancer. And it's without a doubt the scariest diagnosis that a family could possibly receive.
Yeah, cancer
And it's especially true now for Steph and I as we have our own kid. Which is why we're especially honored to be partnering with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, which, if you...
Yeah, I can't... Fucking Curse of Dreadbear came out for COVID. It was like... I can't believe do you know what I think about? Sometimes I always think about how Tyler Tales, like season 1, most of it came out before COVID was down or COVID was discovered. Like Tyler Tales is pre-COVID. That scares me sometimes.
You haven't heard of this incredible organization is a hospital dedicated to treating children from around the world who've all been diagnosed with cancer and other life-threatening diseases. I'm gonna be 33 years old, and I just learned this word. And to think that, like, there's a kid who's 10 years old and wrote this. Heparin? I don't know.
This is sad.
I don't have to know. Just puts into perspective about how lucky you are. You don't have to know that stuff. But what's truly remarkable about St. Jude is not only are they helping children fight against the scariest diagnosis that you could possibly receive, but no one who's a patient there ever has to pay a single cent for their treatment. That is
this shit, like this like video, this like stream that was coming up, all of this was literally right at the tail end of the pre-COVID era of life, because literally a month later, COVID was discovered. Oh man, this hits like a fucking brick.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical treatment all happening for free. And their good work doesn't just stop at helping individual families either. They aren't just helping to treat cancer in single patients, they are the foremost leader in researching new ways to stop cancer, to kill it dead, and then spreading that knowledge for free to the rest of the world so that everyone can use that information to try and find better, more effective cures faster. Most other organizations would hide that sort of information. They would guard it and keep it for themselves so that they could make a lot of money off of it. But here's St. Jude, right? Who are all about this idea of working together to find a way to kill cancer once and for all. One child treated at St. Jude literally translates to 1,000 more that are treated in hospitals around the world. Long story short, St. Jude is just an incredible organization, which is why throughout the rest of...
I remember when Dawko did Five Nights at St. Jude's. He needs to bring that back. He needs to. That shit was the best.
November, we'll be helping to raise money for all the good work that they do, with the big event being held on December 3rd. That's the marathon live stream event in their honor. And that's not just us. That's the Try Guys. It's Odd Ones Out. It's Rosanna Pansino. It's Vsauce 3. It's Miranda Sings and Gerard and Kyle Hill. Nate Wants to Battle, Something Else YT, and so many more. It's crazy. All of these people united together to help support an organization that's trying to kill cancer. And that live stream is going to include giveaways and prizes for all you guys, donation incentives, and get this. Probably the most exciting thing of all, the big reveal of a brand new, never-before-seen FNAF game that Scott Cawthon is making specifically for the event. That's not a joke. A true story, I actually emailed Scott because I know that he's a fan of St. Jude as a charity, and I'm like, hey, would you like to donate as a part of our live stream, or do you have something that we could potentially premiere on the live stream as, you know, just an incentive for people to watch? And he told me that he could do me one better, that he could create for us a game that apparently will have dollar amounts hidden throughout it, and that the more we find, the more he ends up donating to St. Jude. So, knowing that this is the game, I assembled the FNAF Dream Team of Dawko and Markiplier to help me out, taking that money out of Scott's pockets and putting it in the hands of people who are working to cure kids and kill cancer. It's gonna be a crazy event, so please mark your calendars. December 3rd, 10 o'clock.
I know somebody that had cancer. It was terrible.
Damn California time. And going literally all day here on this channel, on the Game Theorist channel. And if you do want to start donating now to this incredible cause, the link is right here on the video. Yeah. What's that series? How to make FNAF not scary? Well, guess what? You can help make cancer not scary by helping the campaign and donating either today or during that big live stream event. Now, enough with me on the couch. Let's get to the episode.
No one suspects anything. It will be fun.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, where today it's time to meet a new villain, because FNAF's next major killer has a face, a voice, a motive, and we even know their name. So today is actually going to be a big one, my friends. The official game may not be releasing until 2020, but we're already well on our way to understanding where this franchise is headed next. Just as long as Scott doesn't shred it, burn it, mix in another 5 monochromatic characters with frontal lobes bit off, screaming on their deathbeds. You see, over the course of October, we saw the release of FNAF VR Help Wanted's Halloween DLC, The Curse of Dreadbear.
I have like very weird nostalgia for Curse of Dreadbear because when it came out, I was like so impressed by how good it was, and it's still really fucking good. The mini games are like some of the best like gameplay in the FNAF series. And yeah, it was a great time. It's like Halloween 2019, W month, W time, especially because of this. Now, I didn't get to play it at the time, but like I got to watch videos of it, and like and yeah, it was pretty good.
Which at this point is getting close to like the longest game title in history. And despite the game's repeated insistence that this little fall fest was purely for fun,
keep in mind that this DLC pack is nothing more than a festive holiday-themed add-on, which has absolutely no hidden intent or purpose.
We all know that's a complete lie.
Chicken
One
Space,
does not simply include
Referring
casual
Space 3 Chicken
references
Space.
to
That one's long.
1983 in a Five Nights at Freddy's game. And when it comes to Easter eggs, I'm not just talking about one or two things here. Whether it was the FNAF 4 house perched high on a hill in the background,
Johnny
trick-or-treating
Blocks.
at an animatronic-filled mansion, inching your way through FNAF
These are, like,
floors,
really
haunted
good.
hallways, or just taking a Disney ride
Especially
that suddenly goes
Trick-or-Treat
off
and
the
Hallway
rails to
Crawl.
revisit a familiar
Pirate Ride was fun,
pizzeria.
too.
Easter eggs were hidden in every
It sucks because well, Pirate Ride is amazing, but it sucks because, well, I forget what it's called. There's like an equivalent in like Help 1 and 2. Like, it's still good, but like it's not as good as Pirate Ride and Curse of Dreadbear.
of this DLC.
But Help
Here's a
1 and 2,
list
I
of a
still
few that were
prefer
worth
over
calling
Help 1
out,
and
but
1.
don't
At
merit
least
a
as of right
full-fledged
now.
theory. First, the masks that you wear for the trick-or-treat minigame are most likely the real-world versions of the masks that we see the bullies wearing during the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 Bite. This reinforces the idea that in the grand timeline of events, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was popular enough as a franchise by 1983 to have its own line of Halloween masks. In other words, it's more evidence to suggest that this location that we see in FNAF 4 isn't the first pizzeria. It's not the beginning of the timeline. Point number 2, when you win a minigame, you see posters randomly generated around the walls. The thing is, all of these posters have appeared in a previous game, FNAF 6 Pizzeria Simulator. They appear in the alleyways where the salvage animatronics can be found. Manwolf clown pictures referencing Baby, and Spookfest. What's particularly interesting though is that Spookfest one, which could in fact be referring to the exact fall festival that we're attending. That poster in particular always felt like a random addition to those alleyway scenes. And as we know, Scott don't do coincidences. It's also worth noting that I've seen one playthrough from the channel Johnny Blocks that had 3 clown pictures appear on the wall.
I still believe
After
this is
throwing
real.
a dart at each one, the barn suddenly switched over to rave mode. Black lights on for the party, becoming possessed by Golden Freddy. We can tell that as evidenced by the It's Me banner hanging over the top of the barn. Now, I can't confirm whether this is real,
I
because
still think
he's
it's
the only
real.
playthrough I've seen been able to do this, and also spawning 3 clown pictures randomly is just seemingly impossible odds. And also, it strikes me as weird because from a lore perspective, Golden Freddy at this point
Minecraft.
should be hanging out in the afterlife with our dearly departed William Afton. But still, it is something that's definitely worth calling out, and if any of you out there have a means of testing it, go forth and double check it. And lastly, during the game over screen, you see a giant Dreadbear looming over top of the hillside covered in gravestones. On top of the hill, you can make out what appears to be some sort of purple glitch. By hacking outside the bounds of the game, just like the channel Kuno Leo did, you can see that it's indeed a glitching gravestone, surrounded on all sides by 7 normal-looking gravestones. Now, 6 gravestones would seem to be a reference to Pizzeria Simulator's gravestone ending, symbolic of the 5 murdered children during the missing children's incident, as well as Charlie, the girl who dies and goes on to possess the puppet. In short, William Afton's 6 victims. But then, what's a 7th gravestone doing there? Well, in my estimation, that one would seem to belong to Michael Afton, his son, and his final and unintentional victim. Which would suggest that the glitching gravestone is William Afton's grave. It's got the purple color, it's got itself the glitch, which clearly ties it to Glitchtrap, but further cementing this is the texture that you see running along the grave, which, while hard to make out, clearly has rabbit ears. But it's the last and hardest to achieve Easter egg that I want to focus on today. The one that reveals our new killer and starts setting up the story that we'll be watching play out over the next few years of games. You see, William Afton has started himself a cult. Let's call it the Cult of Glitchtrap. And it's gonna be our job to rescue the people who've fallen under his spell. Now, if you've been watching over the last few FNAF episodes, I've been talking a lot about how FNAF VR Help Wanted is a passing of the torch, a sort of reboot for the series, an ushering in of the next generation of stories that this franchise wants to tell. Stories that, yes, still come from the series' murdery past, but also move beyond it, beyond the timelines, beyond all its baggage, now with new faces and new murder to be done. And the Curse of Dreadbear DLC confirms that theory. Yeah! Ring the bell, my friends! That's right, I got a FNAF theory correct! The largest, longest, and quite frankly hardest minigame of the DLC pack is called Corn Maze, which has Dayglow Foxy.
Okay, Corn Maze is... Okay. It's definitely not the easiest, but I still would rather play Corn Maze than fucking Hallway Crawl. Hallway Crawl is not bad either, but like that shit is terrifying. Corn Maze is kind of easier. No? Okay, if you're going for the Vandy Mask stuff for Corn Maze, I can see that being hard because it took. I used to do that shit first try when I was like trying to like, I don't know, But like in the 100% completion Resident stream when I played Help Wanted in VR like last year, it took me a bit to get the Vanny mask. So
hunting you down as you search for keys in an abandoned maze filled with what are truly the scariest part of the game, really loud crows.
Oh, and actually no. You know what I think is the hardest level or in Curse of Dreadbear that actually even beats out Core Maze Vanny Mask path? Danger Keep Out Night 3. That shit is fucking hard. That's the hardest in my opinion.
Whoa, what the heck was that? Oh my lordy. Sure, you can find one key and escape, but if you manage to survive to find all 4 keys, suddenly a 5th key spawns in the arena, purple and glitching, which should already cue you in on what's coming. This 5th key unlocks a cellar located at the middle of the maze, one that resembles our prize barn, except now it's all torn up, looking like it's been slowly laid to waste with time. But there's a sinister gift waiting for us on the table, a white bunny mask with a fleshy, almost bloody interior. We put it on and our breathing slows. We calm down. Our character is suddenly at peace. But there's more. Back in the prize counter, we suddenly have the option of wearing the mask again. Putting just the mask on doesn't do anything except obstruct your vision because masks suck. But if you put it on while holding Glitchtrap, suddenly someone, a woman, starts to speak.
Yes, I hear you. I know. No, there's no miscommunication. I understand. Yes, I have it. I made it myself. I think you would like it. No one suspects anything. Don't worry. I'll be ready, and I won't let you down. It will be fun.
Wait, what? You're reading
a woman having a sinister one-way conversation with someone. Or something. I don't think I need to spell this one out for you, right? She is clearly talking to William. Glitchtrap. The fact that this conversation requires you to be wearing the mask, which represents her, and holding the rabbit, which represents him, seems to be all the proof that we need. But now let's look at specifically what they're saying. Based on her saying things like, yes, I have it, I made it myself, you would like it, she seems to be referring to the bunny mask. That is her creation. The voice, William, clearly dictated to her that she needed to create some sort of bunny mask to carry on his tradition of Lapin-themed murder. The line, no one suspects anything, clearly seems to indicate that she's been hiding in plain sight, much like a pizzeria's security guard who's planning to kidnap kids. Or, as I brought up in a previous theory, a game tester who's suddenly been brainwashed by a rogue piece of malware. Which leads us to the other lines about there being no miscommunication, being ready, and not letting him down. Those all seem to indicate that William senses hesitation or fear in the woman about fulfilling on his plan. This is reinforced by the name of this voiced character. On Scott's Voices.com page, where he tends to hire out actors for their various roles in the game, the listing was named Reluctant Follower. So this woman is clearly a devotee of Afton, but she's hesitant. I mean, going so far as to actually kidnap kids and, turn them into remnant soup or something is a lot to ask of anyone, honestly. It's also important to note here that the word reluctant doesn't necessarily mean unwilling. I mean, it can, certainly, but in this case, it seems like she's trying to please her master, William Afton, saying things like, I think you would like it, and convincing herself that this will be fun. It's not that William has control over her body and is forcing her to do things, she's just nervous to take that final leap. What this all tells us is that William has been successful in what Tape Girl warned us about. That FNAF VR is a Trojan horse. It's carrying the virus that is William Afton. Now, whether that's him as code or AI or it's just his spirit being passed along isn't really important. What matters is that he's suddenly able to enter the minds of its testers. It's why we hear the story of Jeremy throughout those FNAF VR tapes. A man who went crazy and ultimately sliced off his own face. He was probably starting to slip under the control of Glitchtrap, but tried his best to fight back in whatever way he could. That's also why every ending of that game is a bad one. The fact that we need the green bunny to hear this dialogue confirms that all those vague cutscenes at the end of the game are of him escaping. Because without the tapes, Glitchtrap is still disassembled in the game, and this dialogue of a brainwashed devotee isn't possible. But what we're also learning here is that while Glitchtrap is able to invade the mind of a person, he can't fully possess their body. He's limited to only being a voice inside their head. He has to convince them to do his bidding and continue to push them to fulfill their mission. Mask Girl is scared, she's hesitant, she's reluctant, and must be cajoled into acting on William's wishes. She's slowly descending into madness.
Oh
and
my
wait a minute,
God.
why does that sound so familiar? Oh yeah,
Game
because
never
it's one of
came
the
out.
upcoming projects that Scott's been teasing for the better part of the last year. It's a pretty accurate title for a game where your villain starts as a normal game tester, but then is forced to listen to the voice in her head telling her to kill. It's also worth noting that there's a similar conversation currently hidden in the source
always wonder
code
what
of Scott's
happened in that
website.
game.
Except
FNAF
here,
and
we
the
actually
Madness.
see both sides of the conversation.
Stay the course.
I will.
Focus on my voice.
I will.
Don't let anyone lead you astray.
I won't.
Have you selected one?
I have.
That line of, "Don't let anyone lead you astray," really stands out. Again, reinforcing this idea that the followers aren't fully under Afton's control, that they can be swayed or saved in some way, just like people in a real cult. It looks like we might be able to save these innocents from Afton's grasp before they commit any sorts of crime this time. And where will those crimes be happening? Well, a few weeks ago, this was the image on Scott's website. Just more cool 80s-tastic FNAF teasers for the new game that's coming out in 2020. But when the full Dreadbear DLC was released, the image got altered slightly to this. Notice those floppy ears? Looks like our new killer might be on the hunt in the mall. Looks like 2020 found itself a new female FNAF killer. And if she's truly working undercover with no one suspecting anything, clearly she must
Doesn't get
be a
screen time.
mall cop. Segueing to a
Oh,
murder
Lord.
scene near Spencer's Gifts. And I
Oh
would
God.
end it there.
Imagine if
except
the Pizza Plex had a Spencer's. And if it took place in the real world, probably.
we can
There's canonically fucking penises and dildos in the bat and the fucking Pizza Plex.
also figure out her name. Brightening images, digging through source code. That is so FNAF 1.0. At this point, the
Turn in
series is
DLC,
5 years
okay,
old.
for the
It's
first
matured, and the fan base has matured.
Really?
And the way that we're able, and perhaps even expected,
really?
to dig for clues has gotten significantly more advanced. It's like an arms race. Scott finds a new way to hide clues, one person in the community breaks the code, and suddenly it's in our tool belt. Next time he releases something, boom, we immediately whip that tool out. That sounded wrong. Maybe let's not whip out our tools and instead smartly and respectfully remove that tool from our tool belt and apply it to the problem at hand. Let me give you an example of this. Brightening images. The first 1 or 2 times Scott did this, it was completely unique. No developer had ever really done anything like that before, and as a result, it took a little while to discover his hidden messages. But after 1 or 2 times, now we know it's a trick you can use, so no one even bothers to look at the image itself. It's just straight into those contrast sliders. The same thing with looking at source code, the same thing with digging through game files, and on, with each one slightly more complicated than the last. And now we've unlocked ourselves a brand new clue finding technique. In the source code for Scott's site, the shadow image and its previous form were both named the same thing, 7_1. FNAF 7 Teaser 1, nothing too exciting there. But that's only the name that Scott wants us to see. You see, I learned a lot from making an ARG over the last year, and one of the biggest tricks was that images can be opened as text files using a program like Notepad, and that the text often reveals a lot of secrets about the history of a given image. Like here, if I open up a JPEG of one of our Minecraft thumbnails, you can see that it was saved using Adobe Photoshop, even down to the specific version. You can even see that there are some text layers here, and what those text layers are called, labeled title, hardwood, and ouchie tree. We're very creative with our layer titles. Anyway, if you open up the first of these 2 Scott Games image files on the site, you see that even though it's called 7_1 in the source code, its original file name was Glamrock Fred Poster. Very cool, eat your heart out, Stranger Things and American Horror Story. It's FNAF's turn to revisit the era of big hair and even bigger shoulder pads. So we know in 2020,
Still
in
not
this
buying
new
the
game, we're going to
Stranger
be
Things
introduced to the
comparison
glam
stuff.
rock animatronics.
Security
Very
breach.
cool, gnarly, totally tubular. No, that was a 90s
tubular.
thing. Wicked, I think, was an 80s thing. Anyway, if you open up the new version of the image, the one with the rabbit shadow, we see that the true name of the file has been changed. It's no longer Glamrock Fred Poster. It now reads Shadow of Vanny. So it would seem that Vanny is the new name of our killer. It's an odd one to be sure, but I honestly don't think that's it. I actually think it's probably a combination of her real name, Vanessa, and her mask. The White Rabbit, or Bunny, Vanessa Bunny, Vanny. Just like Will Trap and Mike Bot and all the other weird ship names we have in this franchise. Every time. So there you have it, my friends. Preview of the coming events in the FNAF franchise.
That's it?
The story of Vanny, Vanessa Bunny, a normal person
Vanessa
driven
Bunny.
into madness by the voice of William Afton talking to her in her head to go out and kill people. She might be the only one right now,
I didn't
but
know
there could
Spencer's
be
had those until
hundreds out
last
there.
year,
A
despite me
cult
knowing
of
that store for
Glitchtrap, if you
years,
will,
and I
following in his
Damn.
bunny toad footsteps. And we know that this is the case based on the fact that Glitchtrap is still seen dancing in the background of that
I've always known
DLC.
Spencer's had
He
that
is
shit in
now
the back.
apparently able to copy himself. It's worth noting that that's an Easter egg that was left in, actually overwriting an oversized Dreadbear. So you know that this one's intentional, right? It says that Glitchtrap is a copy, and that he's able to copy himself over and over and over again. The cult of Glitchtrap spreads. Now we just have to wait. Wait for the next sign of that killer to strike. Maybe it's in the new book series that starts coming out in December. Maybe it's in that new game that Scott's sending us on December 3rd for our big St. Jude charity live stream. Who knows? But in the meantime, stay vigilant, my friends. And remember, it's all just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Just done. Just done.
Damn.
More FNAF's over. Done until December 3rd. I'm gonna rip my microphone if I jump off this couch. I'm just gonna lower myself slowly. Bye. Well done.
All right. All right. 43 videos remain. 43 remain. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna watch one more and then one stream. We stuck to our 4 videos, a stream thing that we've been doing. And this one seems, and this next one seems to be about Into the Pit because of the 1985 in the title. Okay, the name of the last one was FNAF: The Cult of Glitchtrap. That was the name of the last one. I forgot to read it. But yeah, but that one we just watched, speaking of, pretty good. Predicted some things with Security Breach. It's actually one of his more accurate ones, I'd say, even if it's like predictions. And yeah. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Alright. Hello, internet. Welcome to game. Alright, so yeah. We'll watch one more. Let's do it. Wait. Alright, we'll watch one more. Alright. Game theory, FNAF, The Secret Crimes of 1985.
Race you to the ball pit? Hey, that's no fair. I haven't got my shoes off yet.
Into the pit moment. Oswald.
Made it. Ozzy? 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 Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, and the start to what will
I remember reading Into the Pit, like the book, when it came out. Enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
be a very FNAF-y new year because everyone else in the games industry is concentrated on new consoles with all of the teraflops and none of the actual games. Five Nights at Freddy's is over here in the corner doing its own thing and releasing, you know, exciting and interesting stuff. Last year's Help Wanted was a fantastic addition to the series, which keeps updating itself
Help
with
Wanted
new and
was
exciting
fantastic.
lore all the time. There's that new 80s inspired game coming out later this year. The AR game is something I should probably talk about at some point, since apparently that also has lore implications. And most interestingly of all, we have ourselves the rollout of a new book series, Fazbear Frights. The first one released after Christmas, and before the end of this year, there'll be a total of, let me check my notes. Holy mother of Ennard, 5?
Mother of Ennard.
Installments in a new book series in a year? Ugh, looks like Scott's gone back to his roots of just mass releasing stuff. It's like he saw the Netflix model of binge watching a show and was like, I want that, but for video games, and apparently books. Jeez, if only mass dropped lore reveals for us to binge understand, we'd all be happier for it. Anyway,
Not gonna lie, 2019 had like a decent amount of FNAF content. Because you had Help Wanted, like base game. Then you had Curse of Dreadbear, and then you had FNAF AR, then you had Frightened Space 2, and then you had the Into the Pit book. So, like, FNAF fans kind of ate a lot in 2019, similar to 2015 and 2023. It's like 2015 FNAF fans ate a lot. 2023 FNAF fans obviously ate a lot because the movie helped 1, 2, and Ruin. And yeah, 2015 FNAF 3 and 4, and FNAF Halloween Update, and all that. But, like, yeah, 2019 is a pretty underrated year when it comes to FNAF, even though it has one of my favorite FNAF games, but also my least favorite FNAF game that came out. But still, fans ate that year as well.
The reason I call these books out is that, first off, they're just really good. You ever read the Goosebumps books? I definitely did. Every single one. Night of the Living Dummy and Ghost Next Door, every day,
I remember reading Goosebumps. They were pretty good.
Modern version of
the books were pretty good. I've never seen the movies, though.
3 short horror stories all set within the FNAF universe. And, true to them being a part of the franchise, they aren't afraid to get super bleak. Today's episode is going to go into detail for the first 3, so if you want to read them blind, consider this your spoiler warning. Anyway, to give you a sense of tone, one story ends with a girl finding her severed body parts hidden away in plastic bags, only to then realize that she herself has been piece by piece replaced with a robotic body. In another, a teenage girl's imprisoned and forced to choose the way in which she is gonna die, with options ranging from boiling alive to electrocution to decapitation. She chooses the decap attack. Dear FNAF tubers, I know we were all super worried about Kappa coming in and striking us down, but when we're covering stories like these, I think we're pretty darn safe. But of course, I wouldn't be talking about all this on Game Theory if it wasn't
I remember Kappa,
These
that
aren't
whole
just
debacle.
random horror stories. Each one is connected back to characters and locations that we know from the original games. The girl who makes a wish to be beautiful and then is unknowingly hacked to pieces. Well, the fairy godmother doing the hacking is a red pigtailed clown robot with green eyes. Does that description sound familiar to anyone? What about the girl who opts for decapitation? Well, I mentioned that she's imprisoned. What I left out was that she's actually trapped in the stomach of a white and pink bear with a twisted sense of humor and a thirst for blood. And if all that's too subtle for you, well, the first story outright has a guy in a golden bunny suit taking us to see 6 murdered kids in the back of a Freddy's Pizzeria in the year 1985. Pretty darn direct, but more on that later. These stories matter because they're giving us more information about how the FNAF universe operates, sometimes in very direct ways, like giving us the exact number of murder victims and the dates of their death, and sometimes in more indirect ways, by showing us that this is a canon where a girl can be rebuilt day by day, piece by piece as a human-robot hybrid so realistic that no one, not even herself, realizes it. And so that is what we're covering today. What these stories show us about the FNAF universe, what they confirm, and also what important new details they unlock. Plus, they open up a big theory about the games, one that I actually got wrong late last year, and I'm very excited about now. So with all that said, reader beware, you're in for a scare.
I love
and for those of you who've dismissed the stories as non-canon, I wouldn't be too quick to judge these books. Each one of them has this in its official description. Quote, in this volume, horror master Scott Cawthon spins 3 sinister novella-length stories from different corners of his series' canon. End quote. Different corners of the canon, you say? Sounds to me like some stories are going to be more aligned with the trilogy of books, some more so with the canon of the games, but still, all of them existing within the canon itself. So absolutely worth our time to investigate. The first story actually has a lot to cover, so I'm gonna just save that one for last and instead start with the second, To Be Beautiful. In it, Sarah, a 14-year-old girl, rescues a red pigtailed clown animatronic from the trunk of a car that she finds in a scrapyard. Grateful to be saved, the robot, who calls herself herself Eleanor, but is probably better described as Giraffe Baby based on the cut illustrations from the book, says that she'll grant any wish. Sarah wishes to be beautiful, and Baby, like a twisted fairy godmother, makes it happen by putting Sarah to sleep every night and hacking off sections of her body while she's unconscious, replacing them with robotic junk. Quote, Sarah looked at the floor. One bag contained a human leg, another a human arm. Blood pooled in the bottoms of the bags, but the limbs had been severed neatly, as if in a surgical amputation. Another bag, stuffed with bloody snake-like entrails and what appeared to be a liver, slid from the cabinet's shelf and landed on the floor with a wet splat. Hey, if pizzerias never work out for you, baby, Beverly Hills plastic surgeon is a great backup career. The only stipulation is that Sarah must wear a special necklace to keep the illusion alive. When the necklace inevitably falls off, Sarah's new junk body is exposed and falls apart. She dies, surrounded by her own severed body parts as she's forced to watch Baby walk out into the world having stolen her old look and identity. Quote again, I made your wish come true, Sarah. And in return, Eleanor laughed again. She jerked and shook, her silver finish turning the pinkish shade of Caucasian skin. In a matter of moments, she was a dead ringer for Sarah. Well, you certainly made my wishes come true. Great story to read to the kids at night, by the way. Good night, sleep tight, don't let the shape-shifting robot slice off your face and steal it. Anyway, as I mentioned before, Sarah's extreme makeover confirms that in the FNAF canon, humans can be partly or fully robotic without ever knowing it. We've seen it before in the original trilogy of books, where the fourth closet revealed that protagonist Charlie was a highly advanced robot, and we're seeing it again happen here. A normal human Sarah unknowingly being remade into a robot. The fact that this is now a recurring element of the series goes to support the idea that Michael, the crying child of FNAF 4, after getting bitten, could have been put back together in a much more literal way than any of us were expecting all those years ago. He was put together as a machine. He grew up without knowing it and was only able to figure it all out once he miraculously survived being scooped at the end of Sister Location.
Something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not.
Does this little short story outright confirm any of it? No, certainly not, but third time is a charm, Michael. The third story about a girl named Millie trapped inside Funtime Freddy's stomach doesn't really tell us a whole lot, but instead it just confirms what we already suspected, that the Funtime robots were designed to be large enough to capture kids and either kill them off or transport them to underground testing facilities. Moving on to the end of the book, there's a little teaser, like a Marvel movie but with 100% less Nick Fury, where we get a preview of a seemingly new monster. Two cops are discussing a hooded figure raiding the neighborhood's dumpsters. They call it the Stitch Wraith. Quote, the Stitch Wraith, witnesses said, was a shrouded figure in some sort of cloak. The detective squinted at a picture that showed the figure pulling what seemed to be a mannequin's torso from the dumpster. The face wasn't a face. Not a human face, anyway. It looked more like a mask. The face was round, and its features were drawn onto the curved white surface. It had dark eyes, one of which looked blackened. Were those blood stains around the mouth? End quote. To me, the Stitch Wraith is just a cooler name for Ennard. I mean, you got yourself a creature that has a white mask with a missing blacked out eye, sharp, potentially bloody teeth, and a lurching walk. Definitely similar to the way that he's shown in the games. Ennard's obsession with trash would also be appropriate for the Stitch Wraith. I mean, it's just a massive wires. It needs something like a mannequin torso to give it form. We actually see the same thing with Scrap Baby's design from FNAF 6.
Those are
Between
looking
games,
like the
she
shit I
clearly
just took.
assimilated any and all garbage into her form to be more passable and human. To me, I gotta be honest, I just think the Stitch Wraith story is cool because it shows the outside world's reaction to the Freddy creatures that we all know. It starts to show what happened to him after the events of the game. It connects the dots for the story after the credits finished rolling. To know that Ennard, after he escapes from Sister Location, to the in-universe people going about their daily lives is just this urban legend named the Stitch Wraith, I guess that's just pretty interesting to me. I think it's fun. Anyway, it's also worth noting here that the teaser attributes 5 dead bodies to Ennard. Quote, 5 withered bodies with eyes that bled black down the sides of the face, end quote. So it appears that Ennard, after leaving Michael's body, tried to skin suit 5 or so other people. Notice that it says withered bodies. These are bodies that have clearly decayed, just like we saw with Michael's at the end of Sister Location. And the mode of death, them crying black, it's just the body leaking oil as Ennard needs to go and find another skin suit to possess. So that's pretty much everything else. But what I really want to focus on now and in a follow-up mini-theory is the first story of this bunch. The story where the book gets its name, Into the Pit. In it, a video game-loving, anime-obsessed 10-year-old boy named Oswald is forced to spend most of his summer in an old, run-down restaurant named Jeff's Pizza. One day, wanting to pull a prank on his father, he finds himself in a, wait for this, time-traveling ball pit that takes him to 1985, the day where 6 murders have just happened at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Quote, when the smell of pizza hit Oswald's nose, he understood. He was still in Jeff's Pizza, or more accurately, what Jeff's Pizza had been before Jeff took over. The ball pit was new and not roped off. On the wall was a mural of the same characters performing on stage, the brown bear, the blue rabbit, and the bird girl. Below their faces were the words Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. He even caught sight of a calendar hanging in an open office that helped him pinpoint the date, 1985. End quote. Way to take the mystery out of it there, guys. I was all ready to cross-reference all the arcade cabinets that you saw in the pizzeria and the allusions to the Smurfs and other popular media at the time.
Yeah, I remember reading all that in the book where there's like references to like 80s media.
Me the research, I guess. But no thanks for taking away my deserving YouTube watch minutes. And here's the first big mind blow of this book series. First, because I think there are actually 2 in this one story. In this story, we get ourselves clear, indisputable evidence that in 1985, 6 kids were killed. Quote, the rabbit stopped in front of a door with a sign reading party room. Half a dozen kids, none of them older than Oswald, their lifeless bodies propped into sitting positions, their legs stretched out in front of them. They were all wearing Freddy Fazbear birthday party hats. Oswald couldn't tell how they died, but he knew the rabbit was responsible for it, that the rabbit had wanted him to see his handiwork, end quote. On one hand, it's incredible to finally get ourselves a date and a firm number of dead children. But get ready to change your Facebook status because it is complicated. You see, 1985 has never once been an important date in the series. 1983? Absolutely, that's FNAF 4.
Especially
1987? You betcha, that's FNAF 2. We've got ourselves 80s representation everywhere. Mullets and Oingo Boingo for days, but never, not once,
I love little.
has there ever been a mention of 1985. And while it might be easy to immediately write that off as a typo or some non-canon event, it's definitely not. Far from it. In fact, for as wacko as it seems, this time-traveling ball pit from a short story and a spin-off series of books takes Oswald back to a pizzeria that we've never seen before, but one that we have absolutely known to have existed since the second game in this series. As proof, let me pull up a clip from my second ever episode on FNAF, back when Purple Guy was actually Phone Guy. Those were the days. Every way to Sunday, this game is a prequel. Posters everywhere in Five Nights 2.
I remember this video style.
New location, implying that there was another Freddy
mic
Fazbear's
quality,
Pizza
the editing.
somewhere before this one. Additionally, the Phone Guy makes reference to it on night 1, mentioning the old location and how it was left to rot. So let me recap. There's the restaurant from the first game, which is the last in the timeline. The one that you're currently working at in 1987 in Five Nights 2, an older location of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria left to rot, and the original Fredbear's Diner. In FNAF 2, we're presented with newspaper clippings that outright says that this location is having a grand reopening. But we knew, even way back then, 5 years ago, that the events of FNAF 1 took place after FNAF 2. It was a prequel sequel, so there had to have been a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza that existed prior to FNAF 2 that got the franchise shut down in the first place. We also know that it wasn't Fredbear's Family Diner because Phone Guy calls that restaurant out separately.
Hello and welcome to your new summer job at the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. We're going to try to contact the original restaurant owner. I think the name of the place was Dreadbear's Family Diner or something like that.
So in this one random little scene from Fazbear Frights, we uncover a pivotal piece of the timeline that's been missing for the last 5 years. A mystery pizzeria that's been gone since the very beginning of this franchise. A pizzeria that looks to be home to the first 6 actual murders of the Fazbear story. In fact, I can actually do you one better. I believe this to be the 6 dead kids that we end up reuniting in the Happiest Day minigame from FNAF 3. Notice that detail about all of them them wearing party hats. These were kids all taken from the same party. And the Happiest Day minigame from FNAF 3 has us reuniting them to finally finish the birthday party that got prematurely and gruesomely cut short. This is huge information here, guys! However, true to form, as it always is with this story, not everything lines up. With this being chronologically the earliest set of murders that we see at a pizzeria set before 1987, then we should be seeing the animatronics get possessed here. It's something that we've never actually seen in the games. This should be the missing children's incident, where the victims' bodies are shoved into the suits never to be found. But it's clearly not. The book makes it very obvious that these bodies were clearly out and visible. Quote again, there were noises, but not the usual ones of Freddy Fazbear's. Screams, crying children, yells for help, chaos. Oswald's stomach in knots, he moved through the crowd, past crying mothers running with their toddlers in their arms, past dads grasping children's hands and leading them swiftly towards the exit, their faces masks of shock. End quote. The bunny had laid out all his victims for everyone to see. A far cry from the bodies being shoved into the suits and then not being discovered for years on end. Hence, the missing children's incident. And we know that the missing children's incident is most likely where the animatronics got possessed because, you know, their bodies are in the suits, along with the metal. And so the metal and the souls fuse together to create living animatronics, roll into FNAF 2 1987. Oh my gosh, look, there's living animatronics roaming around this pizzeria. Oh, and we installed security devices just because we know a murderer came around the last time. There's a reason I stopped talking about the timeline of these things. Additionally, there are 6 children dead, when the missing children's incident only had itself 5. That, in and of itself, would be okay, right? Since FNAF 6, 6 children has always been the magic number. It's weird to mention a magic number when talking about murdered children, but you know what? This series desensitizes you.
Yeah, magic number
Our list
for murdered
is
children.
Susie, Fritz, Gabriel,
that's
Jeremy,
something.
Cassidy, and Charlotte. The core 4 animatronics, Golden Freddy, and the puppet. 6. The problem is, Charlotte the puppet always seems to have a separate death outside of the building, outside of the realm of the other 5 children. So having her suddenly lined up with all the rest of the kids at the same time just doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. I don't know, maybe I just need to think on it more because everything else lines up. We have ourselves a golden bunny leading kids down a hallway into a back room, just like those original newspaper clippings described. He's also very clearly visible, which means he'd likely be taken into custody. Again, just like those original newspaper clippings describe. As it always is with the series, so many items line up, but there's just 1 or 2 little details, little sticking points that make the pieces fit a little awkwardly. I honestly think, though, that this isn't the last time that we're going to be seeing this pizzeria. Remember earlier when I mentioned that new FNAF game that's coming out in 2020, a little bit later this year, probably titled Into Madness? Well, that one is set in a mall with a very 80s theme. Again, we've been talking about the Rockstar animatronics for a couple episodes now, and that's the one where they get revealed. It wouldn't be surprising for me to see that game be the one where we finally step foot inside the first ever Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria and witness all the events that Oswald just saw for ourselves. So there you have it, my friends, the first major and a couple of minor reveals that this installment had in store for us. However, there is one final mystery that this story might help us solve. Not only does it give us a new set of murders to think about, crimes that are now chronologically the earliest
He
that
mostly
we see
talked
in the
about Into the
timeline, but
Pit, though.
also Into the Pit may just be giving us the identity of the person behind all of this. I don't mean behind the child murders. I mean the mystery of the man behind the games. What do I mean by that? And what evidence do I have to prove it? Well, that, my friends, is a theory unto itself for next week. So in the meantime,
this is the last one we're
subscribe,
watching
ring the
today,
bell, and
so
most importantly,
cliffhanger.
remember, it's all just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I know these FNAF episodes tend to dive pretty deep sometimes, but even after all the games and books and shades of purple, I gotta say I still find them
Mr.
fun.
Hippo.
That said, if this episode leaves you wanting more, well, you can
Either
always
there
dive
or
into the books
there.
themselves with the help of today's sponsor, Audible.com. Because
Ow. Alright, and then we'll just like cap it off there. Alright, so 42 videos remain. Yeah. Alright. What the hell? Anyway. So yeah, that was this week's episode of the stream series of watching every FNAF game theory ever. That one was pretty good. That one was pretty okay. It was alright. we're into the books now, which are much more straightforward than like the game. So, hey, yeah. So we have 42 FNAF game theories remaining. Holy fuck. Anyway, in terms of videos, to give a quick progress update real quick, I am currently working on the next like video is going to be into the books is a fan game review of Five Nights to Remember. That's currently being worked on and probably will be out like sometime this week. I don't know. It's gonna be like at least like 11 minutes long. Then Tyler Tales number 43, Tyler Dash, is almost like the drawings are almost finished and the voice actors have almost sent their lines in. So yeah. Tyler Tales movie is also going well. In terms of progress. Okay. I might do a chill stream later where I work on TT stuff, so yeah. I might do it, I don't know. We'll see. It's gonna obviously have bad mic quality, it's gonna be on my laptop if I do it. It's gonna be drawing shit, but yeah. There's that. Tyler Tales Fandom Wiki. Still working on that. I'm gonna work on that today. I work on it like every Sunday, so yeah. Streams. Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 stream will be at some point soon. Still have not really done much for the Tyler's World video. Next one. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to make time for that. But yeah, yeah, these are the video updates that I have for right now. Oh, and not much else progress has been made on the Iceberg sequel yet, though. Teehee. But we'll get back on track. I am also, after the Five Nights to Remember review, because of popular request, I will be making another ranking video. Which is Lahugini related. So yeah. Discord server will be open sometime next week. It'll be open publicly sometime next week, and then the birthday stuff will be like available like around that same time. So yeah. Alright, so yeah, that's it for right now. I hope you guys enjoyed. I still need to update chapters for stuff. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Inscription below as well when the eventual chapters will be Discord, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Tyler Extras, Tyler's World. Yeah, I've been posting YouTube shorts and TikToks lately because I'm trying to get back on like the FNAF news shorts on that stuff. I'm just waiting for like some huge like next news worth talking about for that. But yeah, as well as that is, yeah, that's it. If you guys enjoyed, I'll see you on the next thing I do. Toodles.
Boom.